I'm waiting for it to tell us that it's gone live. Oh, okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sisters Interview. My name is Ashaxi. I'm a member of the Order of the Laurel in Ontir. And this is my sister, Sir Rifkin, who is a Knight, Pelican, and Lion of Ontir. And tonight we have a very special guest. Duchess Hlutwige is a Laurel, Pelican, and Lion of Ontir, second Lion of Ontir ever made. And she was also my...
Thank you.
We usually ask people to start with their SCA origin story.
Oh dear.
How did you find the SCA and what drew you into it?
Okay. So it was 1981, which was Anno Societatis 16, right? No, 15, sorry. That's when I found it. Actually on my first event was May Day, so New Year's Day of Anno Societatis 16. And my sister, Asha Apmerthen, had been a member of the society for many years and was a Laurel and Pelican in her own right. And she recommended, I was rather down at the time, and she recommended that I give the SCA a try. And it was at Reed College, the Barony of Three Mountains May Day Revel that we used to have every year there until things got weird and we stopped doing that. And that's where I met a variety of fantastic people. And so just kind of rolled into Ulfred and Semingo's retinue that they won that May. They were the last Prince and Princess of Ontir. And so I just kind of stepped in with both feet, as it were, jumped in. Maybe jumped in is the right word.
Jumped in,
and, just haven't stopped.
Right in serving royalty, first thing.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Well, Semingo and Ulfred were easy to serve. They're both fantastic people. I don't see Semingo anymore, but I still see Ulfred, and I could not have, if I had a Rolodex of fantastic SCA people, I don't think I could have done better at the time. Monfred was there, Steingrim was there, Islin of Cumbria, Caressa Thocabiala. Did I say Steingrim? I said Steingrim. The McFlandry brothers. Oh my goodness. Monfred. All of them were there at that May Day Revel. I was really lucky.
And did you start out fighting, or was it the service? What really hooked you in?
I was absolutely hooked by the combat to start. Monfred showed me how to wield a mace, and I fell in love with mace. And in fact, in about a year later, he made me my very own mace, and after I'd become his squire. I unfortunately have a very thin, tiny, wee skull and am prone to brain trauma. So I kind of had to stop that. We tried. Monfred tried really hard to make a helm that would work for me. He even made me one that was very much like it looked a lot like a diver's helmet because it rested on my shoulders. It was this huge, huge thing that rested on my shoulders. And indeed, it did not hurt my head when I got hit, but when I fell down, it was really hard to get back up again. I mean, I just kind of just wanted to just roll off the field every time. So yeah, it just didn't work out.
It's like you were the opposite of a weeble.
No. I don't know. Yes, exactly. I did not bounce back up though. Just down and down for the count. But I did have a lot of fun. I fought for, I guess, maybe a year or two. Kendra McFlandry loaned me his armor often, and I had some later armor. I even had carpet armor for a while, but I just couldn't handle getting hit in the head. I know you're supposed to block that. I know. I also didn't getting wrapped to the butt. I think is probably number 2 on my list of don't let that happen. Oh yeah. My God, that's horrible.
Mineral is worried about women getting hit in the boob, and it's really the butt that hurts.
Oh, yeah. That's awful. That's awful. So I just never really had like my own full kit of armor until the last few years, and Attias made me armor for archery combat. So Oh, is that the top of my, oh yeah, look at that. So I think this top is actually the top from my diving bell helm.
God, that's huge.
Oh yeah. Oh good God. And it's still super. So just imagine that on a collar.
Oh, wow.
And it had the grill was actually a drilled piece of 1/4-inch steel plate.
Wow.
It was hideous. It was absolutely hideous. Thanks, honey. Yeah. So that's a little blast from the past right there. My God, I didn't even know we still had that thing.
Yeah, I'm kind of amazed you still have that. That's awesome.
I think it's been lent out several times. I think Arwen borrowed it for a while. I know she borrowed it in its original form, and then it got altered over time, which was nothing but good for it.
That's awesome. So you ended up squiring to Manfred. Did you also end up apprenticing to him?
Well, we kind of thought of it as the same thing. I always went by Squire. I did learn a lot from him. I learned pierce work and metal work and blade making and a bunch of other stuff. I just etching. Oh my God, my first etching. Oh, that's another story. Wow. I just remembered. So yeah, it was definitely a Squire apprentice relationship, especially after I just couldn't really fight anymore. So I just learned as much from him regarding arts and sciences and service that I could.
Were you artistic coming into the SCA, or is that something that you learned through the SCA?
No, I think I was artistic to begin with. I think I'd like to believe that it may be artistic, crafty, certainly.
Yeah, I don't think of you as a crafter. I think of you as an artist.
Well, that's very sweet of you.
Yeah, for sure.
I think of myself as a craftsman. I really do. Because I dabble in so many things. I think there definitely are real, honest to God artists out there, and I don't feel like I don't feel comfortable calling myself an artist. I'd rather call myself a craftsman.
All right. Well, whatever you're comfortable with, your grace.
Thank you.
Did you know how to sew coming in?
I did. I learned how to sew in grade school, if you can believe that, in home economics.
Oh, wow.
And then I learned quite a bit of needlework from my mom, but mostly I just am self-taught. I just picked it up and gave it a try, and that's how I did it.
And made it happen.
Yep. Trial and error. A lot of error.
I am familiar with this method.
Oh, I remember a pair of trousers I made, and the person I made them for wanted them really blousy, but I had selected the wrong kind of fabric, so it just kind of puddled at the bottom instead of being all floofy. It was just they were hilarious looking.
That's awesome. So, how long after you apprentice squired to Manfred was your journey to your first peerage?
Oh golly, that was when Steingrim and Lenora were king and queen, and so I was made a pelican in some year that came after 16. I'd honestly have to look it up. I know who was the king and queen. I remember all of that, but I don't remember what year that was. Steingrim, what year was that?
I'll look it up.
The pelican was first?
Yes.
And was that for, like, what kind of service were you doing at that time?
I think it would be autocrating and office holding and general administration kind of stuff. Yeah. I think that's appropriate to say.
And your service continues. I mean, you are somebody who works. So let's see, Pelican 1988 and Laurel 1989.
Oh, boom, boom.
And then Countess 1990.
It was a good year. For a couple of years.
Good 3-year period right there. So how did you discover that you liked autocrating and doing the administrative stuff?
Well, let me preface all of that by saying that in the 80s, there were not as many rules as there are now. The rules now, and I support all of them. I think they're all good. It's all good. There were just not as many constraints on an autocrat then, and even with sites. I mean, we used to have baronial council meetings in a local bank in their little community center that was attached to the bank. You just those don't even exist anymore for various and sundry reasons that I cannot really completely relate to you. I think a lot of it was just stuff needed to be done in order to have the fun of the SCA. You've got to have people that are willing to be the autocrat. Somebody has got to be the seneschal of the group. Somebody's got to be the exchequer. Not that I was ever exchequer because I suck with money. Somebody's got to, at the time, somebody had to be constable. Somebody had to be the chatelain. And I did pretty much all of those jobs at one time or another when we still, had some of those jobs. Was never a surgeon and was never exchequer. I think I definitely did Gold Key, I did chatelain, I did seneschal, all those others.
What's your favorite form of service now? What fills your cup?
I really like event support. I love doing Sport of Kings and other events like that. Honor Feast in Three Mountains is one of my favorites, to work in the kitchen or be part of the kitchen staff or run that. Also Kingdom Feast, I really enjoy doing that because that's also kitchen support kind of role. It's fun to be part of somebody's vision in the way that they want a meal presented. That is all good. So that's I like feeding people. Brings me a lot of pleasure to, see people enjoy the food that we make in the Virgin Countess and also just at feasts and such.
Do you prefer working in an indoor kitchen, or do you prefer doing the outside cooking?
I used to really enjoy outside cooking. I still enjoy it a little bit, but it's just harder now. Yeah. It's just harder to do. It requires a lot of energy. When the staff of the Virgin Countess Inn does Sport of Kings, those are 18-hour days. And there's just no getting around that because I'm in charge. I am the freaking executive chef of the VC. And so I have to be there. I have in recent year, in later years, been able to take a nap in the afternoon, which of course is fantastic. We try to get everybody a nap or at least a 2-hour break in the afternoon before we dive back in again.
That's just a monumental undertaking.
Yeah, it's just difficult. I love cooking over fire. It's just it's a lot more work than cooking in a regular kitchen. A tremendous amount more work. And unless I can get somebody who's gonna take care of the fire, then I need the fire taken care of the way I need it taken care of, and somebody to tote stuff back and forth. I just get tired. I'm like, this is not fun anymore. I just want to sit down and eat and go to bed. Maybe drink a bottle of wine.
Rowena is asking, did the Virgin Countess Tavern start at Three-Way C?
No. So I've been doing a food service thing. Oh, golly. I think from the third Kriegstreber, so that would have been 83 or 84. That's when I kind of started doing the outdoor cooking or the cooking for masses of people, which started with just roasting a big leg of beef and then later became more feasting kind of stuff. But then when we moved Kriegstreber Multi-Weapons Tournament to Banks, Oregon, I did a little sausage and, we did sausage and sandwiches and stuff like that, and beer when we could still have beer at an event as a provider. But I didn't come on to the name the Virgin Countess until the first festival of St. Hildegarde's. And that's when I named it the Virgin Countess.
What's the story behind the name? Is it appropriate?
I don't know. Do you have do you have the ability to edit this?
No.
Okay, so it's an old joke and it's not nice, but it's an oxymoron. The Virgin Countess.
Oh, okay, I get it. I get it.
It's the only one, you see.
Yes. Okay.
And I was a countess. Okay, stop. Okay, I'm gonna not defend myself now. So yeah, that's what it is.
So do you have a favorite style or period of food that you like to do?
I really enjoy Chinese, dim sum in particular. I have quite a bit of information on dim sum in period, even back to the Yuan dynasty, I think. So yeah, the Chinese have been eating little morsels of food for a really long time, and that is my particular favorite.
Awesome.
So how do you decide one day that you want to feed the masses at an event and put that together?
I blame Daedin.
Okay, well, we can blame Daedin. I think that's valid.
Years ago, I think one of the first large meals I did was at Ontario West War. The Ladies of the Rose in Valorous Estate wanted to do a fundraiser in order to create these shaded things that would go along the Eric. I don't even know what happened to them. I think I saw them a couple of times, but then I don't know what happened to them. I think they were just too much for people to deal with or something at crown events. There's already so much to deal with at crown event. I can imagine having these things to put up as well would be.
It's a great idea, but who stores them, who brings them, who puts them up, who takes them down?
Exactly. So I said I would do a meal, a dim sum and noodle meal kind of thing as the prize, and people would, when we could still do kind of raffly things. So people would buy their tickets for a chance to have a spot at the table, and I did it down at, golly, where was that, honey? Do you remember where that big dim sum was? First time I met Uther, remember I made him sit down and eat the noodles?
That was down south on your West Warren. It was like right off of.
It was not Gold Beach, but there's a lake there. I can't remember the name of the site.
It was in southwestern Oregon.
Southwestern Oregon. It says Attias.
Was it the one with the blender party and like that was a crazy Ontario West?
God, I don't know.
It was like right off of a highway practically.
It was a beautiful site. It was really a beautiful site, and there was a lake that people could play in, or maybe it was a river. I never quite got there. It was also blisteringly hot during the day, and I was deep frying things. Whose idea was that? Anyway, so it was a huge success. People really enjoyed the food. I didn't poison anybody, and that is always my goal, to not poison anybody. I don't want to do that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I blame Daedin because she was the one that put the whole thing together, and that kind of gave me the bug for doing larger groups of people and stuff. It was a lot of fun. We had a great time.
So you reigned twice as queen. The first time in 1990. What was your favorite thing about?
Wasn't it 89?
Yeah, 89. You were a beta countess in 90, so yeah, 89. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, it's not date.
What's your question?
What was your favorite thing about reigning?
Woo. I know everybody says this, but it really is honestly true. It's giving awards. It is.
Did you do a Mongol reign?
No, not at all. Torquil was Norse, is Norse. And I just did my own thing. We didn't have a specific this or that kind of.
You guys weren't matchy.
No, no. That was the second time, and I will never do that again. That was just awful.
What don't you like about that?
The matchy? I don't even know. I don't even know. I just don't like it. I mean, it looks great on people. It does. Other people. It's fantastic for other people. Not my thing.
Yeah, I just think you would like the independence to be able to say, you know what, I'm wearing this today. I feel better in this.
Yeah, that's
anyway.
Yeah,
Okay.
you probably hit the proverbial nail on the head there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of that either. I get it.
Oh, go ahead.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to change the subject, but I think we should stay on the rain because if that's where you're going. So.
Yeah, I wanted to hear about the awards that you created.
Okay. I don't think I created any the first reign. That was the second reign that we made Lion on Tier at our 12th night when we stepped down. That was pretty groovy. I really enjoyed that.
And who was the first lion that you made?
Manfred Kriegstriver. Uraka, who rocks, that is Dame Eleanor the Clumsy, made his scroll. It was just stunning on gold ink on black paper. Really beautiful. Really, really beautiful.
So when you developed the award, what was your purpose for it? Because they evolve over time and you can't control it.
I exert as much control as I can. Every few years, I kind of stick my foot back in there and say, no, that's not it, kind of thing. And people seem to put up with that, so yay.
Okay.
The goal was to create an award, a recognition. It's not really an award, as it were. That the people who wear the crowns, the normal folk who actually wear the crowns can recognize someone because that person epitomizes what the SCA means to them. Joe and Mary newbie, doesn't even matter. Whoever those people are, not their personas, not the other person's persona, but to recognize somebody who epitomizes the ideals as those people see the ideals of the SCA. Cool. That was it. And I wanted it to be, fancy and schmancy, of course. I had no idea that anybody was ever going to put it at the top of the OP because we didn't have an OP listing idea for it. I just didn't want anybody to screw with it. That's why it doesn't have a badge. That's why it's not an order. That's why it's not anything that people can mess with. It just is this. It is a thing unto itself.
So who made it have such precedence on the OP? Do you know?
Darius.
Darius did that. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Darius did it. Sorry.
Nothing. It's all of a sudden you fly up there when
yeah, no kidding. It's interesting. So Darius did it, and then somebody revoked that, and then somebody else put it back on top again after that. So it was after that. It hasn't been after that second time of being put at the top of the OP. It hasn't been
messed with.
Hasn't been changed again. But certainly somebody could. There's nothing stopping any crown from changing that. So. Good luck.
Somebody said that they heard that you're responsible for the on-tier tradition of putting the award on a necklace. Is that you?
Damn it. Let me refill. All right. So when the first time I reigned, we actually just put awards on grosgrain ribbon. Okay. It was inexpensive. It was easy to do. And when I gave out my forget-me-nots at that 12th night, God, was that the second reign? Anyway, I wanted them to be more, no, it was the first reign. Sorry. I wanted them to be extra special. So I did bead them all. I beaded all of the necklaces that I gave out forget-me-nots on. There were a couple dozen, I suppose, as I recall, anyway. And after that, I think somebody said, well, that's a groovy idea. And then it sold. De La Vielle Rue kind of picked it up a few years later and just started making all these necklaces. She purchased the beads herself, did all the beading, handed them over to the crown. And so now it's just a thing that everybody does. And so now I'm thinking maybe we should go back to grosgrain again. Or some other fancy ribbon, you know. I mean, I like it. It's just it's a lot to deal with. Though some people who are overachievers may have that. Like Stierkar and Stjarna suggested to particularly talented Laurel to make special beads for the special awards that they gave. That's my groovy silver lily.
Wow.
And those are Phelan beads.
Phelan's, yeah. So I have two of these. Let me have the other one. Phelan beads.
Yeah.
You're a lucky girl. Those are nice.
They are.
What are your other favorite pieces of regalia that you've gotten over the years?
I have to say that the one thing that I've received repeatedly is the forget-me-not, and that amongst all the other alphabet soup that I have is really vitally important to me. That and the King's Favor. Those are super groovy to have. Thank God. I'm so happy with Jarl Barrick for having created the King's Favor as well. I think that was a really good idea. But the forget-me-not is really the one that I cherish. I just have I have a few, and I'm still struggling over how to display them without feeling like I'm weighed down or showing off or just being ostentatious. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. I still have them all safely away. I think I have a few of them on various pieces of various garments, like I would pin them to a lapel or something like that, you know. But I don't know how to. Anybody out there have a really good idea of how to display them without breaking me? I think displaying them is probably a better idea than trying to wear them.
Maybe
I've
been like a faux Scythian cloak and put them around the border or something.
Again, that means I would be wearing it.
Yeah. So I've been thinking, because those are that token of personal appreciation for very personal service is also one of my things that is really dear to my heart. And I have those banners on each side of the yurt door that have their throne's favors. And I've thought about doing another one and putting the King's Favors, and so that might be cool. That way it's there, it's on your house, but you're not carrying it around.
Yeah, and you can bring it home and put it on the wall, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Enjoy it that way. That's a good idea. I might consider that.
Okay. So I was really asking about items of regalia, like things that people have given to you, like your coronet. Yes. Tell me about that.
This is inspired by a Hunnic diadem. It's something that I think it was one of the first research books that I purchased 1,000 years ago when dirt was still shiny, was Machen Helfen's The World of the Huns. And there is a diadem much like this with this groovy kind of mushroom top thing in that book. And Skeggy asked if he could make my coronet. And I'm like, okay, what do you want it like? Well, kind of like this. And so this is what he made me. And it's actually gone through a little revision of late. these years. He's put a new central amber piece there, and he made these super groovy pins. Look at these cool pins. Here they have little jade. They have little jade tops.
Yeah, when I interviewed him, he was very proud of the pins.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's his masterwork.
yeah. I love it. I love it. And both Miranda and Inga have worn it. Miranda wore it for almost 6 years, and 5 years, and then Inga wore it for about a year because I was wearing a different coronet at the time. Yes.
And that's because you were serving as Baroness.
Yes. This is another thing I really like. Eduardo had this made for me because the lion on tier doesn't actually have a badge, but it has.
You get to wear that. So that's super cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that is a labor of love right there.
You sort of alluded to your baronial service. Like, I mean, you've been the Baroness of both Stromgarde and Three Mountains, and maybe twice.
I was Baroness of Three Mountains twice,
Great.
And Stromgarde once for 6 years.
Yeah,
a little over 6 years.
And in addition to that, like I wanted to ask you how you got into Scribal, because I remember when I first started and I was doing retinues, you were the royal scribe for I don't even know how many years. Like,
well, it was 2.
It was more than 2.
Okay. All right.
You weren't like really the royal scribe, but you were like Spin scribe for like every reign they did.
How did I get into Scribal? That's a really good question. Of course, so during my second reign, we were really trying to make the charter system get it locked in, right? And so that was just by pure force of will that we made that happen. But we had good people to follow, because it was Gunnar and Gabrielle, and then Davin and
Octavia.
Thank you, and Octavia had kind of gotten the ball rolling, but it really hadn't been locked in. And so my goal was to make sure to get that locked in. I had amazing help from a couple of apprentices, Uraka and Gaitha, who made several of the charter masters. But I pretty much did and Malin of Kingsley, is that right? Malin of Kingsley? Malin of Capcott? It's a Malin from Madrona. I can't remember which. That's just terrible of me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Malin. Please forgive me. They did the charter masters for me, and various people painted charters, and then it was my task to fill out the names and the date and all that kind of stuff, and to sign. And of course, I had to learn some more calligraphy. I think the first class that I took was from Gerhard Kendall of Westmoreland at an ISRA. I learned Caroline Minuscule. That was the first one, and I don't know what year that was. So I just kind of, when you want to give somebody a special award, at that time, you kind of had to do the work yourself. I mean, we didn't have the travel fund like exists now. Everything came out of my pocket. So in order to cut costs, I did the work myself, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And then Sven and Signy were there, and they needed a scribe, and Gunnar and Gabrielle needed a scribe, and Jocelyn Crookhorn actually taught me some amazing tricks. She's one of my apprentices. Amazing tricks to make charters look nice, and to get the name in the right place and stuff like that. It involves a light board. Super clever. I never would have thought of that kind of stuff. So, it's one of those things you just kind of have to do, or at that time, you just kind of have to do it if you want it to be super special.
Cool.
So it kind of just didn't stop. because I wanted the charter system to succeed.
And I think it has.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'd like to believe it has.
Was the intention always that the charters would change every reign and be reign specific?
You know, I'm going to go with yes, because
Okay.
it sounds like then like we made a plan like that. The main goal, because at the time that I became Kingdom Scribe, there were 8,000 scrolls in the backlog.
Holy crap.
8,000. Those are AAs and Guta songs and Jaume de Lyons and peerages and court baronies and all that kind of stuff. 8,000. And so Urraca really is the one who spearheaded getting all that stuff kind of focused and focused is the right word to use. The main goal was to make a system that when a person is awarded something, that piece of paper that's signed and sealed ends the obligation of the crown to the recipient. Because in the past, what we were getting were promissories. And that's the crown saying, we promise to make sure you get this groovy dealy at a later date. And that's how we got 8,000 things on the backlog. So the charter system was to end the obligation of the crown for us full-on scroll. It was only later that the creation of a scroll at the time of somebody's elevation was just a given, because it wasn't before. It's like hardly anybody got a scroll when they were elevated to anything. So, and then Urraca, in her wisdom, had a whole set of Award of Arms charters made that covered all of the previous kings and queens back in time. So there's a charter master for just AAs. That's how we started, was just AAs. Charter master for everybody back to Montfort and Morag. At least one charter master. So if somebody didn't care that they have an Award of Arms scroll, they could get an Award of Arms charter and have it signed and sealed. And they could put it on their wall and be happy with it forever. There are some amazing charters out there.
Yeah, there really are.
So it's if you get one of those, if you're lucky enough to get a charter that really speaks to you, then be happy with that and frame it, put it on your wall. It's better that, I think, than having a poorly made scroll that's going to go in the drawer and never be seen again.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. What was I going to say? Who were your original inspirations in the SCA, and who continues to inspire you? Like what
Catriona of Rathcrogan, first founding Baroness of Wealdsmere. Let's see. Rowena de Manning. Oh, golly. There's a whole lot of people, but those are my top two, I'd have to say. Kelde de Seeker, Serena Clandori of Baguay, Asala Talarian. There's a bunch of women I know. And of course, my lineage, Monfred, Steingrim, Torgal, my husband. And he goes like, oh. Whatever.
It's a bunch of women. I love that.
So yeah, but Catriona of Rathcrogan, she just sung what a baroness should be like. And she's still just like that. She's still a fabulous human being.
That's really cool. Should we look at some pictures of your work? Are you ready for that, Miss?
Okay.
Yeah, people are asking about our lineage scroll, and that's in the pictures.
Oh, okay. Let's do that first.
Okay, let's do that first.
Okay. Honey, I might need your head. Okay, but we'll see. Probably on this side, if you don't mind. So this was made by Alexandria, former Baroness of Three Mountains. And I'm gonna show you the main page first because it's big, right? A little back, a little further. So can you guys see that at all?
Yeah, it's a little blurry, but there you go. That looks great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the, oh, no one's going to turn up the light.
So
yeah,
we've got Monfred here.
Yep. Here, let me zoom in. Oh,
Then,
crap, I can't see it.
Oh, that's good.
and then you and Attias.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is your list of.
That's all family. It starts with family.
Okay.
So there's
Okay.
Steingrim,
And Torgal.
Torgal, Sheehan.
Okay.
Can you see those? And there's
Yeah.
Lau over there.
Lau, Barrack,
Eric.
Sunjun, Carmack, Lilia, Elizabeth, Vostroy. Me.
And then those are children below. Careful, what do you, that's a very pointy thing you have. Okay. All right, will you take
Don't
this
poke
up
holes in it.
here?
And so the children are your apprentices and
No,
proteges.
the children are my adopted children.
Oh,
Here-
okay.
Here's Oktar, and here's his brother Guy. I can't read that backward.
Sheehan.
Oh,
Juan and
yes, Sheehan, yeah. And then Drusus and Araxes are over here too,
Aw.
because those are my babies. All right, and then, so if I'm just gonna start unrolling it because I don't know how well you can see it. How about here? Is that a good spot?
Sure.
Okay.
Are these the apprentices and the
Yes, the apprentices start here.
Wow.
So here's Brigida.
Tilted.
There? Okay. You're on here somewhere.
And so it's the apprentices and then their apprentices.
Yes.
Right?
I see
Yes.
Foxy and then Helga. Yep.
There's
Right.
a section.
Yep. There's I don't know who that is.
Or my now.
Yep. And there's, okay. Oh, golly.
Oh my goodness, it's so long.
Yeah.
It is. It keeps going and going. I'm just going to keep going.
So wow, what an impact you've had on Tier and the SCA.
All right. We're just going to go.
Yeah.
Wow.
And these are all apprentices that have been elevated to a peerage, correct?
No, but they do say that they, like, here's Renard, and so he's been elevated, but here is Kulan, who's not been elevated. There's Alicia of Camberwell, but I have to update her listing. And then, of course, Niall is not on here. Will you take it or whatever?
Wow.
Viscount Niall is not on there yet. Sorry. I'm gonna update it soon.
Geez, like you're not busy with other things.
So that's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah, Alexandria and Aiden made that for me for my honor feast, and I just love it. And I might have to add another sheet on the end. We'll see.
So how do you stay inspired and motivated? I mean, I know when we interviewed Attias, we talked to him a little bit about how invested you are and how much you give of yourself, and like really, I mean, your service is like phenomenal. How do you stay motivated to do that? How do you stay inspired in the SCA?
Well, not to put too fine a point on it, I really like people. I like meeting new people. I just continue to be really fortunate in the people that I meet in the SCA. I could list a bunch of them, like, let's just pick two that are on the top of my head right now, Kata and Refskeg. Those are two fabulous people. And in order, to not be I want to be there for them. I want to be helpful to them. I want them to have a good time. I want them to continue to hang around. And if I if there's something that I can do to make sure that they continue, then I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try to make them happy. And that's true for a whole bunch of people. More than I can begin to, let's just put it, it won't stay. Okay.
I truly think that building community is one of your superpowers. You have a unique ability to see people and see their potential and foster that and grow that. I think that you're responsible for at least 2 of the apprentices that I have, hooking us up, like without even talking to me, just like, you should go talk to Shaxi. And they've been, you know, Ruskig being the most recent one. He's like the brother I never knew I needed in my life.
Aw.
I mean, he really is. He's wonderful. So I really think you have a gift, and I'm really thankful that I got to be part of your flock.
Well, I too am thankful that you said yes. I think we had a pretty good run, and your vigil was just amazing. I had such a good time that night.
It
That was
fun.
a great vigil. Golly.
That's pretty great.
I was in the tent the whole time. I don't know how fun it was.
It was amazing. There was so much food. Your fellow apprentices worked so hard to make that super special for everybody that stopped by. It was great. It was great. I try to get all the vigils to end up like that. They do better. I think Vivian's vigil was pretty good.
And again, that's a crazy amount of time and money and labor invested. It's phenomenal.
Well, if I can throw time and money at something and it makes people super happy, I'm going to do that. Honey, will you turn that light back down again? I'm being blinded. Blinded by the light. Thank you.
Okay. So why don't I go ahead and pull up these pictures?
All right.
If I can get it to work.
Oh dear. What are we going to look at?
And all right. Can you see that?
Nice.
Yes.
So these, I tried to sort of put these in the order you sent them to me in.
Oh golly.
And I actually am going to try to go back to the beginning. So this is the beginning. That beautiful girl.
Oh yeah. So that was my one foray into late period clothing. Yeah, that sucked. Whew. That's a co-effort between Attias and me. And as a matter of fact, Eleanor's dad, that central piece was made by Dame Eleanor, Dame Eleanor's father. But we did the etching and the garnet work. That is the Storm God cloak.
So
I
beautiful.
love that. I just love that. So,
And this is a machine appliqued piece that you designed and,
Yes.
and sewed.
yes. That is Miranda's second reign, one of her garments from her second reign. Based on, I think that was based on some stuff from one of the deer stones. That's what I was looking at, was that. Some
Cool.
deer stones.
And it's wool on wool applique lined with silk.
It's leather on wool.
Okay. See, you totally shame me. I still am working in ultra suede. I'm still scared of leather.
Oh, it might be pleather. I'm not even certain any longer. I have to look at it. It might be, faux leather. Fox leather. Okay, the only part of that is the embroidery on the sleeves.
The
rest-
only part.
The rest, I think, was made by Lau's sister-in-law.
Is that hand embroidery that you did?
Yeah.
All of that. Wow.
I wish you could see it up close because something I'd never tried before, and I've done it since then. Each of the peacock feathers, the little things that come out from the feathers are the color is graduated.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just stunning close up. With I still can't believe I did that long ago.
Wow.
But she inspires me, so I love her.
And these are recent.
Yes, those were commissioned by Steercard Stiarna, and I did those through with the Dame Megan. So those are my designs, and that is their embroidered and appliqued and embroidered. Jiminy Criminy, spit that out. But that's all hand embroidery.
Is that just jacquard silk in the back?
Megan gave it to me. I love this because I did the little checky bits too. So each little checky has a little crown in it.
Yeah, very cool.
I think if you look at the upper, the one on the left, you look at the upper. So it was very important to me. Yes, up there. It was very important to me that they all be perfect because I love making checky. It was one of the first things I did as a sewing project. I helped make one of the banners. I think it was just appeared recently on the Book of Faces, and I'm like, I can help make that. And so I kind of have been a checky person for some years now.
Are those banners?
No. Those are on the back of the king and queen lighter cloaks.
Okay.
This makes me happy. So 50th year was rolling around, and I volunteered to go back east and monitor the Ontarian display.
Super cool.
Really is just sitting and answering questions. And we wanted Coulon was kind of spearheading that because she moved back there. And we wanted something to be the backdrop of the display. And I said, well, how about an achievement banner? And I've been a party to achievement banners before, and I really wanted to make that. And so I just designed it myself. I didn't ask for any help. I made decisions about the various elements all by my little lonely. If you want to know what they are, of course, there's the Geneltis pegacorn, which is pizzled because that's how she preferred it. The falcon represents our first king, Monfred. The helm is a shout out to Torgal as well as the crown. And then there's just a whole bunch of other stuff mashed in the bottom, and it's actually in the care of my apprentice Kata right now. She's adding more details because eventually I'd like there to be I'd like to have a competition for who can identify the awards and the symbolism, and give a groovy prize for it or something.
Well, I mean, there's tons of stuff in there. You can see lilies and
yeah. The flowers at the bottom, those 3 flowers at the bottom represent the 3 baronies who contributed. That's Stromgard, Three Mountains, and Dragon's Mist.
Is that painted?
Pardon?
Is it painted?
It is painted.
Super cool.
Thank you.
And is the whole back checky?
No, just the side panels that fold forward.
Cool. You don't have to take it back.
Okay.
I'm very interested.
And the stand was made by my apprentice Hugh.
Cool.
These are my first repoussé bits.
Wow.
People hate me for that. Okay, second repoussé. That is some pierce work I did a long time ago. That's Brigida do Fogo do Montanhas Pelican Medallion. The other one is the next one is made for Tyrion Dalkai, Jiminy. And that was Hollywood, by the way. That is one of the best things I've ever done in my life. That is a recreation of the Kazarik pouch found by Sergei Rudenko in 1930 something. That is my,
I have never seen that piece in person.
Because I gave it away.
Who has it?
I gave it to Sergei Minyaev, who is a Russian scholar who works for the, I'm I can't remember the name of it, Academy of Sciences in St. Petersburg, and he helped me kind of suss things out quite a bit. And then I got to meet him when I went to New York for a conference, and we still occasionally spend some time together. He, when I wrote to him initially, he responded with, "Dear colleague," and I'm never going to forget that. It was just such a nice thing to for a scholarly man to say, "Dear colleague." I thought that was just super sweet. So he won me over right away.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Oktar has one, and somebody else has one. Oh, Ari and the Wanderer. Oh, shoot, I never sent you those pictures. This is the lion scroll for Skapti that's done on birch bark.
And you did all of the artwork and lettering on this. You did.
I did the, yeah, I actually, it was Anna de la Serra found the lion for me. It's actually from it's a carving on just I think I gave her some parameters. I need to find a lion of this kind of thing. I think it was a persona issue. I can't remember, golly. You know what? I should really write this stuff down, I suppose. So it was a stone carving, or maybe it was a mold on a brick, and I altered it and turned it into a blackline drawing. And then Renard did the gold leaf on top, which was a major struggle for him because my ink was sticky. Oh yeah, and that's my fancy dancy mock-up of the Pazarik pouch made out of cardboard and paper towel. Yes. So this is food I made at Quad War. I don't think 2008 is the correct date because my camera meh. So anyway, went to Quad War with Nadezhda and oh my God, and Nadezhda and Penelope and Althea, whose real name or SCA name I can't recall, Her Excellency. We drove up there. We got there. We were staying in somebody else's tent. We didn't bring anything with us. I think I brought a knife. And I decided to enter the siege cooking contest for the prince. And this is what we made. Natasha was there. Ula's daughter was there too. Giva.
Cool.
So yes.
Are these almond cakes?
You know what? I think they were oatmeal, some kind of oat, because these are the items that we got. So they had, I think they had an egg in them. Honestly, I don't really recall, but they had mostly oats or oat flour, and then I think I put something else in them, and then we coated them in honey and toasted them. They're like little oat pancakes. Oh, I wish that were a better photograph.
Sorry.
No, believe me, I don't even know if that thing exists anymore. That was a favor made for Three Mountains, the Phoenix favor that I made. It's gold. It's laid gold embroidery and on silk, and then the laurel wreath is embroidered as well. And a gentleman whose name I cannot recall, but he was a friend of Margaret Swinford of Bristow's, who was an extremely talented artisan, said that it was some of the best embroidery he'd ever seen. And that really made me just blew me away to be so complimented. That is Corwin Arianaud's arms that I did so that is applique and paint on his surcoat. I like that.
Excuse me.
Bless you. That is Elizabeth Landau's pelican medallion that I made for her. That's Brigida's pelican medallion that matches her circlet. That is Jonesy laying on the central part of the one of the carpets found in the Noin Ulla tomb the Hunnic tomb, and this is my endeavor to recreate it based on the limited amount of textile information that anybody would bother to write down. Excuse me.
We have feelings on that.
So frustrating. That is Baroness Vivian posing as the Monkey King for my play that I did at Arts and Sciences Championship. And I made the, you can see the jacket is actually the, yeah.
Oops, sorry.
That's okay.
There we go. So there's the jacket. There are more pictures of this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is that all embroidery?
No, it's actually, so I put the garment together first, and then I printed the
Pattern.
that stuff on with red, you know what, with yellow paint. The fabric color is red.
Oh, that's really cool.
And it's painted on or put on with yellow. And I got the recommendations. I have this guy I know in China who is a costumer, as it were. That's a simple way to put it. He advised me on how best to do that and what pattern to use, because in the stories of Monkey, they describe what he's wearing, but it doesn't, you know, there's 1,000 pictures, all of them out of period. So I had long conversations with him over email about what actually is period and how to display Monkey. I let Vivian choose about the makeup because I have no documentation whatsoever about what theater makeup for Monkey would be like in period. Oh, right, and I made the little cap as well. Cool. That's my first reprise, which isn't really reprise. It's just me hitting it with a hammer until it's submitted. So this is a garment I made for Morgaine to step down in, Darius Morgaine. It took me about half a year. It's laid gold with that same technique of doing the different colored threads.
Wow.
As you lay the gold down.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that too. So that's from I took the design from some Roman, I think, mosaics. I can't quite recall. I probably have it somewhere. But yeah, it was so pretty groovy. In the July sun, she was stunning in it. There's another monkey picture with the big staff. Yeah, Vivian was just the best choice for monkey flying. I sent these pictures to Hu Jingming in China, and he was pretty damned impressed. Yes, another birch bark. Maria loves it. I'm so glad. That was, believe it or not, a generic scroll I did a long time ago, and then finally got to use it for Sven Insigni's reign. I love that hand. It's a variation of Betard. It's a more cursive version of Betard. And I look at that thing and I'm like, God, my hand used to be really good. It's not that good anymore. The name's in there somewhere. I could probably find it, but
oh, it's okay.
Yeah. That is Tsuruko's laurel medallion.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That was done. Oh golly, I don't even remember when Tsuruko was made a laurel, but Asha asked me to make a medallion for her with her groovy little stork or whatever that is on there. Japanese mon. That's Lao's ducal scroll.
Wow.
Made with love.
The wording is actually in teeny tiny writing. You can kind of see it around the outline of the dragon.
Yeah, you can see some like up there.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Wow. That's amazing.
It almost looks like you painted a stone. I know that's paper, but.
Well, so here's a funny story about that. Lau sent me this picture not too long ago, a few years ago, I guess. So something had happened and she accidentally splattered a little bit of like something, not bleach, maybe it was lemon juice, got splattered on the paper. So she said, well, that looks cool. So she just went with it and splattered the whole thing. I love it. I think it looks great.
Did it start out black?
No, it's just a deep blue. But
Okay.
now it's speckled.
It looks great.
Yeah, it does. I agree.
Only Lau could figure out how to make like an oops like.
Yeah.
I love this one.
Yeah, this is Torfin's chivalry scroll.
He has it framed and proudly displayed in his house.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that one too.
It's beautiful.
So this is my first achievement banner that I decided to do on my own because, reasons. For Her Serene Highness, the Dowager Princess Janeltis. And it is in the keeping of 3 mountains, and it can usually be seen at 3 mountains events. So I have a young, I don't know, this is difficult to see. There's a young lion on the left as a supporter and a mature lion on the right as a supporter. Get it? See? Because she's principality and get it?
Yep, got it. And Hermano de Oro.
De Oro, yeah.
Okay.
Also pizzled. Oh, that's a nice close-up.
Yeah, it is.
So that is leather on linen, I think. It might be. I honestly don't know. It could also be cotton. Gods know. That's Atthias's knighting tunic that he didn't know I was making.
Which still looks amazing.
It does, even after serious issues that like he was wearing it underneath another tunic, a wool tunic that I'd made, and he was helping break down an event, I don't know, some crown event, and it was raining like a son of a gun. And when he took it off, the overcoat had bled into this one, but it all came out. So it was a miracle that it didn't just stay pink.
And just for scale, these little nail heads are smaller than dimes.
Yeah, they're about 3/8 of an inch, maybe.
So these little tiny stitches are
appropriate.
And the cut work is amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. It pays to have a tiny little pair of very sharp scissors.
Yes.
And yeah, those stitches are appropriate. I've seen it now. They could even be smaller. They could even be smaller and be appropriate. Okay,
so it's always your voice in my head when I'm stitching that says, those stitches are too big. Make them smaller.
You cannot make too small of stitches. It's just not possible.
So this is the same style of pouch, but it's a different pouch, right?
Yes, it's a different pouch. I'm trying to think of. I think Octar has that one. I honestly, I can't. I've lost track. I think I've made 5 of them so far.
I have not managed to see any of them in person.
Oh my God. Well, look at Arian the Wanderer. He sent me the pictures, and I forgot to send them to you. I could probably call them up, but I don't know how to do that. That would
no
make
worries.
it weird.
When we event in person again, you're going to have to make that happen.
I'm gonna make a pilgrimage to see at least 4 of them.
Well, one of them you have to go to Russia to see.
Yeah, that one's not happening.
There it is. So this is tambour needlework. It's silk on wool, and there's a lot of it. That is about, the actual size is what, like 2.5 inches tall, I think.
And so this goes shoulder to floor on a coat, right?
Yeah, it is the coat of holding. Anybody can wear this coat, including somebody the size of Grendel and somebody the size of my apprentice Kirnich. And it looks equally as fabulous on everybody. It's weird. So this, do you remember the big coat that you had? And
yes.
You lent it to me, and I wrapped myself up in, and I just loved having that coat. So I wanted to have a big coat that I could wrap up in. And in my zeal, I decided I was going to learn how to do tambour needle stitch and do it down the front panels of this wonderful giant freaking coat rather. So it's lined with cotton. I got about halfway through, maybe only about a quarter of a way through. It was difficult. And so I went back and checked checked the books, did a little extra research and a little extra reading, really just a little extra reading. And I could not find any examples anywhere of tambour needle stitch done on wool. Guess why?
It's
So
really
for those of you who don't know, a tambour needle looks amazingly like a crochet hook, but it's smaller in diameter than, like, say that. You see that? And on the end there's a little pointy hook thing, and the idea is you go down through the fabric, you do a magic little twist, and then you come back up through the fabric, and it creates a little loop, and then you go back down through the fabric, do a little twist, and pucka, 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 keeps going like that. With something like wool, it catches very nearly every stitch when you pull up, no matter what you do, no matter what you do. So it's a labor of love. I'm so glad it's done, and that I never have to do it on wool again. But that's why I think that's why there's no examples of tambour needle on wool.
always learning.
It's hateful. That's why. But it is a lovely coat. I do love it.
It is, and until you get up close, it's so perfect looking that it looks machine done.
Thank you. I think.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. Every time I see that coat, I kind of pet it and just drool a little bit.
Yeah, I really like it.
Those Pazric purses, is that painted leather? The top part?
The top part is, this is interesting. It's excised.
Okay.
So that's what Rudenko, that's what the English translation of Rudenko says, is excised. I had this because I've been to a few conferences now, presenting my work on those pouches specifically, including this conference that I was at. And you'd be surprised how people will just argue with you about what excised means. So I tried, when I started that journey, I tried various ways. I especially tried doing an applique thing. I tried several different things, and really excising means gouging it out. That's what it means. Period. It's gouged out.
Cool.
Yeah. And it actually is treated with vermilion as well. Real vermilion.
Very
So
cool.
yes, that is me in Oxford, Ohio. at the museum at Miami University. There we go. I know I could spit it all out.
And this is the finished piece that the cat was laying on before.
Yes. And now that resides with my apprentice Kulan, that carpet, because I have to make 2 more carpets, just like that.
We have a close-up of these later, but this is all hand-stitched applique. All of these spirals are hand-stitched. And did you end up using felt for this, or?
That is all. It's all, well, the yellow and the red are woven, but all of the applique pieces are felt. Wool felt.
You're so beautiful. Look at that beautiful bit.
So that is the day I was made a knight, an honorary knight of the Rosarians. So that's my Rosarians, and that's okay.
What's the Rosarian?
Rosarian is, you don't know about the Royal Rosarians from Portland?
I do not.
Rose Festival and the Rosarians. Oh my goodness.
Oh, okay.
Very fancy. Continue.
Okay. Sorry.
I was happy to get it. It was a treat. That is first reign. Sometime, I don't know. So that was when I had I was a countess at that time. That's my little county circlet that I wore that had forget-me-nots on it. And all that amber's gone. Makes me sad. Oh well. That's cool. I was champion.
Yeah.
One of the times I was champion. I don't know what I think I'm crocheting at that.
There's this whole series of funny shield things.
Okay. So a long time ago, Torek and Bjarni did an entire series of full-size shields that were parodies of people's arms. And it started as a fundraiser Three Mountains did for what I don't even remember. But it was just a lot of fun. And he just poured his heart and soul into all these really super groovy things that people paid good money for. So I have continued to try to carry on this tradition. And this is a set of parodies I did a few years ago when I was chronicler of the plume in Three Mountains. That would be, and that was during Alexandria and Aiden's reign. So that is Aiden's parody of Aiden's arm. Three Mountains, of course. That's a combined effort that Laurelyn and I did for Goulet's Laurel Medallion. I think it came out pretty good.
It's
I don't know what the heck that is.
I don't either.
I don't think I meant to. Oh, there's a close-up of some of one of the pieces on Morgane's garment.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so you can see there's red, and then on the stem, I think it was probably green or something. Ugh, that's a lot of gold work.
Beautiful.
They're teeny though; they're like that big or something. Oh, there's a good picture of the excising. And those are all made with real deer sinew as well. Those are all sewn with deer sinew.
Wow.
Which is really pretty darn nice to work with. Skapti's coat. Do you remember that, Dawn? Do you remember that, Shaxi?
I sure do.
The Shaxi was in charge of, you were in charge of costuming, right?
Yep.
And we were having a meeting, I think, like a week before coronation. And I had that coat with me, and you were terrified that it wasn't going to be done.
What did you just do?
I had a drink of water when I staked.
No, seriously, she was super worried that I was done. She just looked at me like, "How can you only be that far along?" I'm like, "No, it'll be fine. I got this. I got it." No, you were so freaking worried.
You did it.
And I think Colfina did the matching piece. Well, not matching, but the piece for
Asa. Yeah.
Yeah. He still wears that. I like it.
He does. He still wears that. It's a beautiful, beautiful coat.
I don't know who made the coat. I just did the gold work.
I think that this was the first reign that I made all the garments and then farmed them out for embellishment.
Mm-hmm.
I think, but I'm not really sure.
Yep.
So
that seems right.
Yeah, that's what I think happened.
So pretty.
And that's Skapti's ducal scroll. I think that was the first stone one I'd done. It is soapstone. Don't anybody get excited. It's soapstone. So, but it is big. It's probably what, like that wide. Should put a little ruler with it or something. But I'm really happy with it. I just love it.
Yeah, you nailed that aesthetic. It's just gorgeous.
Thank you. It's completely plagiarized. That was I was going to tell you when I took when I took that class from Gerhard Kendall 1,000 years ago. We talked about scroll design and stuff like that in his Caroline Minuscule class. Plagiarize. That was the first lesson I learned from a scribe in the kingdom. It was from Gerhard. Plagiarize.
Oh, there's some more food.
Yep, that's from the Dragon's Mist event. You can see I have kind of a ongoing theme. But we did, that was fun. I did that with Celine Trioris. She helped me out with that. We actually filtered our own flour we filtered white flour from brown flour, and it was nice. It was fun. That's us toasting the millet seed before we grind it up.
Wow.
Oh,
Ta-da!
what a lot of work.
That is Groas County, done as a saddle cover. Ah, that thing just makes me happy.
And there,
Oh, and there's the display. Excellent. So here on the right, you can see laying down there is a book that's flat on the table. That is a collection of scrolls and charters that Anna de la Serra put together and had printed and bound. And then that up there on the little stand is the on-tier handbook that Renart put together, and then had, I think, is Duncan Mackay, not Duncan Mackay, Duncan Macduff bound for the display. And there's my champion's cloak, there's that, and then there's the riderless horse ceremony, or the riderless horse thing, which got a lot of attention from other kingdoms. People just loved it, thought it was fantastic. We didn't have a huge amount of stuff, but what we had really meant something to, well, certainly to me.
very cool.
Champions. So that's my, while I was Baroness, that was my Storm Rider, Susan De Winter, and those are the other competitors during that tournament. I don't know what possessed me to ask them to stand on their horses, but they all did.
Because you have all the power.
I guess. I don't know what it was. Oh, man. There's a better picture of the printing on the monkey coat.
Wow.
It was my apprentice Hugh that made the printing form for me.
Cool. That's
Yep.
amazing.
I like it. Block printing. That's a close-up of my first attempts at coloring fabric with persimmon tannin. That's what it looked like before. And those are my persimmons. Also one of my favorite things. I love my persimmon tree.
Oh, wait, there's one more persimmon picture. There we go.
Aren't they beautiful? So that's probably going to be when I enter Arts and Sciences Kingdom Arts and Sciences Championship again. Hoshigaki, which is what persimmons are called when they're dried, is going to be one of my entries.
Cool.
How many times have you been champion?
Twice. And
How many times? Go ahead.
Currently, Arts and Sciences champion of Stromgard.
And how many times do you want to be kingdom champion?
Well, at least one more time.
What motivates you to keep entering arts and sciences competitions?
I really enjoyed my first competition. I think I don't know. That's a really good question.
I love it. I love that you are constantly challenging yourself.
Well, I hate losing. I just hate it. So I guess I cannot handle it. I'm just terrible at it. So in order to really, in order to win, I really have to kind of put myself out there and do it. So, but the last time that I was champion, I ended up being the only competitor, and it was Eric who insisted, well, he maybe not insisted, he asked me to take on the position for the year until the next tournament. And the next tournament was fantastic. They've been some really great stuff done. I'm actually not sure I can compete anymore. There have been, especially this last year, which was the last SCA event I actually got to physically go to. Oh my goodness. If if you were there, which I think you guys were both there,
I was not.
there were there were just amazing entries on single entries, and full entries were just astounding. It was a fantastic competition, and even the finals were amazing.
Cool.
Like I said, I'm not sure I can compete anymore. So this frog, let's. So I did a few. Okay, only two. I have another one in Meg's. I wanted to do a fundraiser for Stromgard to help pay for champion regalia, because Ivan and I had determined that we wanted to pay a local artist to make some super groovy champions regalia. That is Grendel. We wanted to have him make the champions regalia for our various champions, and so he, needs money for that. So this was the first one that I did, inspired by Pacific Northwest native art, and it is silk on wool, and it's couched. It's all couched, and currently in the possession of Bayok of Dumfries.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm super proud of that. That is I really like it. So that's a close-up of the silk thread backstitch on some of the pieces on the Noin Ula carpet.
So it's not just appliqued down. I mean, you really like quilted it down.
Yeah, all of the pieces on the original carpets. Now, bear in mind that there are four remnants of 4 carpets in this one tumulus that are of the same general make. They all look like this. There's not just one carpet.
Wow.
There were 4. And according to my colleague, Sergei Menyayev, there was another carpet of the same kind of manufacture, the same design, found far, far away from the Noin Ula find. So after seriously looking at the minimum amount of photographic evidence that I had, especially close-ups, thank the gods for good photography and the zoom feature, I realized that not only were they quilted, but the griffin animals, excuse me, pardon me. Everybody drink. When I was cleaning.
As she commands.
Especially the griffin, it has these quilted feather-like shapes on it. So the more I looked at the extant pieces, the more detail I realized was in each character. Even the little mosaic pieces that border the central yellow piece, each one of those pieces is stitched. And the original was all done in sinew.
Wow.
I did it in silk because I didn't know about the sinew part until much later.
Super cool.
Yeah.
And how far apart would you say those little rows of stitches are?
They're about 1/16 of an inch. They're small, and the stitches are tiny as well.
And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 sets of fighting animals.
Yeah, and it's actually missing two sets. There should be another at the top. There should be another set. I just ran out of time because I did that carpet specifically.
So one here.
I did that specifically for the Miami University show. This was on display with the Sackler bronzes.
Wow.
Some of the stuff, Attias' stuff, and some of Miranda's things were on display in Miami University Museum.
What an honor.
It was pretty groovy, and I don't know what possessed me to say, "Hey, I could make this Pazari or this Noinolip carpet thing. You want me to, hon? You want me to?" And they went, "Okay." But at least Sergei Minyayev got to see it, and he's actually seen the extant pieces up close, and he said I hit it on the nail. that nail on the head.
That's amazing.
That is Miranda's second coronation garment, based on, I think, the Telia Tepe garments. Yeah. I think that's right.
Yes, that's correct.
That was a lot of fun to do. So the little, you can't, I don't know if you can zoom in, but you can look at the sleeves. Those are, the blue is actually painted, it's enameled into the little plaques.
Oh, wow.
And the red on the neck, around the neckline, is also painted in to give that stone effect. But God, can you imagine what that would be like to have actual rocks?
Yeah, it'd be so heavy and beautiful.
Yeah, she looks stunning in it too. This is Alfric's Laurel Circlet that I did as an armband.
And are those stamped, or are they?
Those are chased.
Okay. Wow. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, but silver's pretty easy to chase. I mean, it's not like you're. That is Alfric's Laurel Medallion that is also done from Hollywood. That was Hollywood that Ulfred and Dak felled a holly tree in our back garden at the place we used to live, and Ulfred kept a lot of the pieces, and he cut those 2 rounds for me, and then I pierced them to make the laurel and pelican medallions. Thank you, Ulfred. Yeah, pierce work. That's me. And I think Acorn wore a few years ago in war archery.
Being a total badass.
Yeah, we're back to the beginning.
I hit a couple of people, but only a couple.
And we're back.
Yay!
Thank you for sharing those. That was amazing.
I hope you all didn't get bored by that.
Not bored at all.
So what is on your artistic plate right now? What are you working on right now?
My lotus pond. That's pretty much what I do currently. I go out and I look at the lotuses and I watch the fish, and then I come inside and I cook, and then I go back outside and I look at the lotus pond. I decided to start the lotus pond because I want it to be an arts and sciences entry eventually, because the lotus, you can eat all of the lotus. You can eat the roots, and you can eat the leaves, and you can eat the flowers, and you can eat the seeds. So I just decided in April I was going to dig this damn pond finally, and Michael and Michael Felix, and Attias all helped me prepare the area. And it's been a treat. Boy, you would not believe. I wish I had a picture. That just a couple of months have made. Lotus is a fast grower. It's impressive. It's very impressive.
I've been following your progress on your Facebook. It looks so peaceful.
I really like it. I really, really like it. It's nice. And I just got a filter for the pond last week. I need to do some adjustment to that because, pardon me, because lotus likes to grow in mud. It's a low, wherever water will accumulate, it likes muddy, gravelly, not very fertile ground. So I just made a giant mud puddle in my back garden. I almost had a meltdown one day I was out there and I thought, oh my God, this thing is huge. What was I thinking? And now, of course, that the lotus has started to grow, it doesn't seem so big anymore because it's from just one little tuber that was only about that long. It has grown a good 8 feet down the pond and around the pond and stuff. So,
wow.
Yeah, I'm going to harvest some of the tubers if they get big enough. I'm going to harvest tubers this winter, and we're going to eat them because I don't know if you've ever had lotus root. It's delicious. It's just a starchy tuber like a potato or a yam or anything like that, but it's prettier.
Do you prepare it like a potato?
There's a bunch of different ways. You can stir frying, I think, is the most common way, or making it into crunchy, delicious chips. So we'll see. I'm going to have to do some more research on that. I actually have to do kind of, I'm going to do some reverse research. I'm going to do the thing that I want to do, and then I'm going to research it to see how it's period.
Isn't that one of those things you tell us not to do?
I never say that.
Oh.
I always say, no, find something to do and then work backward. It's fine. If you're having fun, do that. That's my philosophy. And I'm having fun. I love my pond.
Good.
The fish have tripled in size since May, I think it was.
Are they actual koi or are they?
Oh God, koi are terrible. No, they're just goldfish.
Goldfish.
And if they get big enough, we're gonna eat them.
Really?
Yeah, carp is eatable. The Chinese eat a lot of carp, actually. Big carp can get really big. I don't think mine will get that big. The trick is having enough room for them to actually get to the mature size. They actually lose all of their color. They become kind of a bronze color, and that's when you can eat them.
Rivkin is not a seafood person, so she's having a hard time with this.
Neither am I. I like insects of the sea, but my husband likes fish, and my neighbors are Chinese, so we're good. We're good.
They must love you.
They do. I think they do. They like me anyway. They tolerate me.
Oh,
I did get lectured a week ago. I made some char siu, which is Chinese barbecued pork, and I got lectured by my neighbor Yu Ying, who said that I need to use a fattier cut of pork because the last time you made char siu, it was too dry.
Oh.
And she's absolutely right. I like to use a fattier cut. I just didn't have it handy, and I wanted to make bao, and so. But yeah.
nice.
They're lovely. We are fortunate in our neighbors.
That's really cool. Misty, I'm at the point where I can't see all the comments anymore. Can you see them? Are there any questions
Oh my God.
outstanding?
Noah's looking. He could probably.
Somebody wanted to ask about you and Lau, and it was at the beginning. Let me see if I can find it.
Rowena just wanted to know, wanted you to speak about your inspiration, how she inspires you.
Oh, wow. Well, I fell in love with her the day I met her when she was still Lee the Quiet. And she's one of those researchers and reenactors that just, she went down, because she went Chinese, nobody in the SCA was doing Chinese at all. And it was just inspiring because I wanted to do an Asiatic persona as well, not necessarily Chinese, but there was nobody doing anything in Ontier that wasn't high Middle Ages in Europe or Norse. There was that guy who did the Incan for a while, though. That was pretty groovy. Anyway, I digress. So I think some of the things that, well, number one, awesome human being, hard to not be thrilled by her. And then the second thing was we looked a lot alike at the time. Our hair was different, but we had similar facial structure. She looks almost exactly the same. I do not, which is fine. But it was weird seeing pictures of her with Stormcrow on and on Harrod and a few other people that I knew. I was looking at pictures of her on the Ontier, one of the ships of the Ontier Navy, which is also another story. But I thought it was me. And I thought, okay, I wasn't there. When was that taken? I thought I could not figure it out, but it was a picture of her. So that was, that just kind of put us together. And then she lived in DuPont, Stillicum. She lived in Stillicum, and I used to drive up there and hang out with her. And I fell in love with her. That was it. I fell in love with her. And then she became queen, and I did everything that I could do for her to make that work. That was a lot of fun. We just had a lot of fun together. We had a lot of people in common. And then she and Iatrosakis made us her daughters, which related us to Torgal, because Sheehan was Torgal's daughter, which also related us to Steingrim. I mean, it's hard to let go of that lineage. She had this groovy little Mongolian felt tent that she waterproofed with milk, with cow's milk. And that was pretty damned impressive. I was not offended by it, but other people were like, oh, that smells so bad. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It just smells like sour milk. What's wrong with sour milk? You don't like sour milk? What kind of a human are you? And just everything about her. Beautiful, generous, smart, fun.
Thank you.
I like her.
Someone wants to know if you've always been a Hun.
I aimed for Roos in the beginning, and then one fine day, I remembered that I was a fan of Attila since I was a child. I think it was like I was maybe 8 when I learned about Attila, Scourge of God. And I thought, I want to be a Hun. Who wouldn't want to be a Hun? And over the years, I've learned a lot more about them. People think, oh, well, Huns were barbarians and stuff. And actually, Huns were very cosmopolitan, like the Scythians, not barbarians, very cosmopolitan. So, yeah, of course, my name is not actually a Hunnic name. It's a Germanic name. But the nice thing, one of the interesting things about Huns and Hunnic culture was that while yes, they kept slaves, any given slave could earn their way out of slavery and become a full-fledged member of the tribe. And I always appreciated that idea of being able to elevate oneself from one's beginnings. Not that I support slavery or anything like that in any time, but geez, white people. And I liked that there was a reality about these people that hardly anybody knew about. So I wanted to do more research, and I wanted to learn more about them. And thankfully, over the years, there's way more information now available about the Huns than there was in the 80s. I think there was Manchen-Helfen's book. I think that was it, and a lot of fantasy about the Huns. But more is being discovered all the time.
And the only other question out there is, tell us about the Winlock egg. And I don't know if that's a joke or a real thing or what.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
Okay. It was a real thing. You want the whole story?
Whatever you want to share.
Let's see. Well, as you all know, there is a place called Winlock, Washington, and it is on the magnificent I-5 corridor that connects northern Ontario with southern Ontario, and also eastern Ontario by way of another road. And years ago, Manfred told a story about his first interaction with the Winlock egg. He had driven to Seattle to visit a lady friend in his dilapidated old, I think a 56, 53 Chevy truck of some ilk. I don't even know if that's right. Some just barely running vehicle. And he had spent the weekend in Seattle and was driving home, and the weather started to turn toward rain. The windshield wipers on the vehicle he was driving were not actually attached. They just sat via the graces of gravity on the little cogs that hold windshield wipers in place on vehicles, right? Wind, pressure, and gravity is what held them in place. And he didn't want it to rain. He was thinking the whole time, I don't want it to rain. Don't rain. I don't have, it's just another couple of hours before I get home. Don't rain, don't rain. Well, it started raining. So he's traveling south on the I-5 corridor, and it starts to rain. And he is forced to turn on the wipers. And so they do their job, and then the driver's side wiper flies off and is decimated by other traffic on the highway. So his next opportunity to turn off was Winlock. Now, Monfort is not the kind of guy, has never been the kind of guy who would just turn off the side of the road on the highway and try to deal with his mechanical issues. So he took the Winlock exit, drove into Winlock, and found a safe place to pull off the road, which, if you don't know this, in Winlock, there is a tiny little park dedicated to the egg of Winlock. Winlock, at one time in the past, was one of the main producers of chicken eggs in the country. That's just where you would, if you got eggs at the grocery store, they came from Winlock. So there's an edifice dedicated to the egg. So he stopped there. He took the windshield wiper from the driver's side, from the passenger side, and put it on the driver's side of his vehicle, looked at the egg, and thought, well, that's a fine egg. And then he got back on the highway and drove home in the rain with the windshield wiper going. And he claimed that windshield wiper never came off. For the rest of the life of that vehicle, he never touched it again. It always worked, and it never came off. And then he cogitated quite a bit about why it didn't come off and what had happened. And he realized over all the years he'd been traveling up and down the I-5 corridor that people seemed to break down right around Winlock. So he thought, see, my windshield wiper works because I thought good thoughts about the Winlock egg. And so that became a big thing. And I would continue to tell the story. I still enjoy telling the story about the Winlock egg and why you should think good thoughts about it. And it has progressed even, if you're going to take a flight, I have a special token for you if you take a overseas flight. So in years since, we've made a couple of pilgrimages to the Winlock egg. A bunch of people from Three Mountains and I think even Salem would drive up to Winlock with our picnic baskets and go into the park and drink our toast to the Winlock egg. And at the second time, a crow had been struck by a vehicle, and everyone was very concerned. We had it in a box. We were going to take it to the Audubon Society, or Mavish, I think, was going to take it to the Audubon Society and try to get it recuperated. Sorry. So we have it in a box, and we're trying to just put some grass in there just to, I don't know, make it more comfortable. And it forced its way out of the box and flew away into the trees, a quarter of a mile away. And we're all like, that's a Winlock egg miracle. So both times that we did the pilgrimage, I'd make little reliquary things to hand out or to sell that just was like I had taken, oh God, I've had a lot of fun in the SVA. I've taken some eggshell and broken them into tiny little pieces, and then taken a teeny tiny crow quill point and wrote "think good thoughts" as small as I possibly could on this little bit of eggshell, and then I put them in the little boxes that have the little magnifying lens on top. And then I did vials that had bits of the one true egg in them. And then after the miracle crow thing happened, I put a little bit of feather in a little vial, and that's why you have the ones for
Wow.
taking a flight.
Yeah, I can't believe I've never heard this before.
Well, you will never see the sign Winlock again without thinking good thoughts about the Winlock egg. I can guarantee you that.
How big is that park? I mean, could we like have like a? No, it's small.
And I always imagined the wind. So that's another story. I'm not going to go into that one.
Okay.
I always imagined it being up on end like it were in an egg cup, but it's not. It's just an egg on its side. And they paint it occasionally, the denizens of Winlock. I think it's currently painted with a Seahawks insignia.
Next time I go to Portland, I'm gonna have to stop and look at the egg.
Well, it's about 3 miles off the road.
I think I can handle that.
Just go straight through, and when you cross the railroad tracks, look to your right.
Wow.
There it is.
It's like Washington's answer to that whole slew of giant things in South Dakota.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
that.
I love it. I love the Winlock egg, and I still, to this day, cannot travel up north or south on I-5 without seeing that sign and thinking good thoughts. Good egg, and I will say it out loud. It's ridiculous.
I do it too because of you. And
Cheers.
yeah, super weird.
It is.
Yes, that's the story of the Winlock egg.
Alrighty then. Well, we've been going a while. Do you have any more questions, Ashaxi?
I actually started doing a final 4 last night with Bryn that I have prepared. If Her Grace, is there anything else you want to talk about, Your Grace?
Oh golly, probably good. I don't know. I like talking about other people too, but I suppose that's not the.
Only if we have nice things to say. That's my rule.
Well, I have nicest things to say about almost everyone. There's 1 or 2 people in particular, I think you know who they are, that I don't have anything good to say about.
Yeah, I just don't talk about those people.
Yeah.
We don't give them any energy at all.
So
Yeah.
what is your favorite Ontarian tradition?
I think it's the convention of not crossing the line of the knee. When I was first queen, do you guys know about the thing that when the Duchess or Countess says, "When I was queen, you have to drink"? And I had gone to Pennsic 18. Torgal was my champion, which was an amazing time. That's when he became war god of Trimaris. That's how good he was. Anyway, there was a bear pit. It was the bear pit tournament that he was fighting in, and I saw a member of the Order of Chivalry from another kingdom fighting another person from another kingdom, not an Ontarian, but the person that when I first saw it, the one person was on his knees, and the Order of Chivalry guy was not on his knees, and he was it was unpleasant to watch. He was standing with his left foot in the guy's crotch and just trying to beat him into the ground as though he were a railroad spike. And I pointed, the royalty had a little place to sit, and I pointed and I went, shouldn't they stop that? Shouldn't they stop that? And no, that's when it was pointed out to me that was legal. And I stopped And I sighed and I said, I have never been prouder to be an Ontarian. I was just amazed that I mean, I knew there were going to be different fighting styles. I just had no idea that was okay to do. So yeah, I think that's what it is. The don't pass the knee convention. And if you're going to step in, step the hell back out. Because it's chivalrous and courteous. If for no other reason, it's that. Next question.
Next question. If money were no object, what tool would you buy or what material would you work with?
Gold.
It's got to be gold.
It would be gold. And so that's a material, and I would want a proper casting setup so that I could make my matrices and patrices, like those little ducklings that are on the Pazerik pouch, are gold.
Yeah.
But they're two-sided. They're little two-sided things, and I would love to be able to make a matrix and a patrix and have 6 million of those on a garment. Yes. Gold. Gold. I would want gold. Was I clear?
I think the answer is gold.
Gold. I've tried to explain to people when they're starting in either whether they're doing pierce work or they're doing repoussé or whatever metal work they're doing, and they start with something like steel, and then they move to brass, and then they move to copper, and then they move to silver, and each time you step up to a nicer alloy, though copper's not really an alloy, you know what I mean, a softer one that's more willing to do what you want. The difference between copper and silver is good. It's nice when that happens. But the difference between anything and gold, to work with gold, is, well, it's orgasmic. It's just orgasmic. And who can afford that? Who can afford to work with gold? Nobody can. No human can actually. Okay, there are some, but they don't. Screw those guys. They don't.
They're not crafty.
No, they're not.
Okay, so
gold. I would like gold. Just
excellent.
In case anybody has anything laying around.
In the same vein, if money were not an object, what museum or site would you travel to?
Oof. St. Peter. I'd go to the Hermitage in St. Petersburg.
Same.
In a cold second. Well,
Yeah.
except for that it's in Russia, and that's kind of a problem. But yeah, that's where I would go. I would also want to go back to Oxford in Great Britain and spend a lot more time in all the museums. The problem is there's so much to see that you just get overwhelmed, and it doesn't matter how many Van Goghs are there to look at. There's just so much I can take in. There was a small display of Van Gogh at which museum was that? The Van Goghs. Where were the Van Goghs? At that
was the National.
The National Museum
in London.
In London, yes.
National Gallery.
And there were Van Goghs I'd never seen before, even pictures of them. And there was one. It's one of the Cyprus paintings, and there was one of the sunflowers, but this painting of Cyprus was just stunning, and I couldn't stop looking at it. I sat there for probably 45 minutes just staring at this thing. It just glowed with life. It was an amazing thing. But there's just so much to see. I need to be able to go back time and time and time again. I would want to go back to the Met in New York and spend a week and a half in each exhibit, I think.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Nobody in my family, not counting Rifkin, but my immediate family likes museums. And so when we go on family trips, I have to like go in and quickly do everything and get out. So I need to find someone to travel with and do that.
Yes, with a lot of money.
Yeah.
I would totally go to St. Petersburg with you.
Oh God, I would love to. We had a plan. We totally had a plan to do it. It just did not come to fruition. The cost was was more than we could muster.
Yeah.
And then there's Russia.
That's a problem.
That's
Yeah.
a problem.
Okay, so last question. Who would you like to see us interview?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, it's funny that you would mention that, because we've had that discussion about me interviewing people as well. I hope that there's room on the interwebs for another interview segment.
Definitely.
I would like to do that. Who do I want to see interviewed? Ugo? I
Okay.
think would be interesting.
I
Dak?
interviewed Bryn last night.
I know. I think Dak would be interesting.
I am in the works with Dak. We will see
Okay.
if we can get him to say yes.
And then I'm trying to think of somebody not, decrepit. You've actually hit a lot of my favorites. You got Rowena DeManning, and that was really great.
Isn't that great? She is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh yeah, I agree completely.
I just got Alfred to say yes. So
Good.
that's gonna
That'll be fun. That'll be a lot of fun. Gosh, I would if I think of something, I will tell you. But that's what comes off the top of my head is Ugo. Yeah, you've really kind of hit all of the ones that I might think of off the top of my head.
Well, we're going to be starting with the Laurel interview. Well, with both sets of interviews, we're going to be starting to branch out into other kingdoms a lot more.
Excellent.
So it'll be fun.
Ooh, who might I like to? Oh, you know what? Guy from back east would be highly entertaining. I don't remember his whole name.
Vegetable or
Yes. Yes. Oh yeah. If you want somebody, I think, yes, I think he would be really interesting. I wish that Eddie were still alive. That would have been great. Yeah, I will think on it, and I will send you a little private note if I think of something super groovy.
Thank you.
But you guys have already done a fabulous job. You've got a bunch of people scheduled that I think are going to be great.
Thank you.
And if anybody watching thinks of anybody, you can tell like all three of us, because Her Grace is also going to interview, what is it, non-peers? Is that what you're doing?
Well, I'm still trying to figure out, I want to do like newer people, maybe people that have been in only for a few years or 5 years, or honestly, I'm just going to interview whoever the hell I want. But I would like to start with folks that are newer and find out what their goals are and maybe what their ideas are about how to make local groups better and on tier better and how to make the known world better and
what they want to see. I mean, yeah,
ourselves.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, we will support you in that any way we can.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then next week we are interviewing. Does he go by count?
I think it's just Sir.
Oh, I think he's been king once.
Okay.
Well, we're interviewing Casca from Atenveld. I'm pretty sure he's been king once. I don't know if he goes by Jarl or Count or whatever, but anybody you ever talk to from Atenveld has like glowing things to say about him. I'm very, very excited to learn about him. So that should be fun.
And on the Laurel interview, I am interviewing Dame Gwen the Potter. So that'll be super fun too.
So thank you so much, Your Grace. I really appreciated this. It's so much fun. And looking at your art is just so inspiring. I can't even begin to tell you. It's just, you've been such a huge influence. I mean, on Dawn or Shaxi, but on me too. I mean, you just such a, not just art, but just service and just being sort of a pinnacle of art.
I gotta say though, Rithkin, you gotta watch it. I just want you to know you gotta watch it. Yeah, I don't want you to get too good at arts and sciences. I'll have to scoop out one of your eyeballs.
What?
Okay, I love you. Yeah, it's my clever plan for keeping people on a certain level, just scoop out an eyeball. Some of my apprentices are on that list. Don't worry. Several apprentices are going to get their eyeballs scooped out.
But anyway, I'm being serious. I mean, you really are an example of what I think most of us want to be in the SCA. So I really appreciate that about you, and about how you've kept involved, and you don't. It's just amazing. It's amazing. So.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I do want to say that it's not always been this way. I would like to believe that I've evolved as a human being, and I will continue to evolve, and I encourage people to evolve and to become better people. I've made my share of mistakes, and I've been unkind and even cruel, and I like to believe that I've learned from some of the best people. A lot of them have been my apprentices, and just to be a better person, to not I don't want to be that boomer.
we all are growing all the time. So
yes, and I think that's key. If you don't change, you don't get better.
Exactly.
True.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.